do not demand too much. All I demand is that Chevron Nigeria Limited should allow the people of the host communities to participate in their fate. They should allow the people of the host community to be a part of the different agreements, including the GMOU and the OMOU, with which Chevron claims to be fulfilling its corporate social responsibility to the people. With this, I say a good evening to you and welcome to the 16th edition of our program, How Chevron is Underdeveloping its Host Communities. It may interest you to know that in putting together the Mugabes of the communities by Chevron, what has happened is that among the Mugabes, there are Mugabes. Many of those who are called members of the different committees that run the GMOU and CICD actually in truth know nothing about the goings on there. While Chevron claims to be running a very transparent and accountable process, indeed, many people who are members of these communities are passengers. And I can tell you, take your time, go, meet them, ask them for the account, the statement of account of how things are done. Chevron will tell you that they are running a very globally acceptable model. But the question is, when you go back to the communities, you will see that some of these Mugabes are the ones who award contracts to their own companies, who award contracts to their own brothers and sisters. I mean blood brothers within the same home, against the spirit and intent of what Chevron proclaims to be doing. In other words, you find a situation where interests are constantly conflicting. You find a situation where the awarding person, the person signing the contract, has an interest in the awardee of the contract. We need to look at this whole thing, both the process through which the MOU is renewed and the process through which the GMOU is renewed. Chevron, stop that. Stop that. The preparation to go back to Lagos again and do things as you used to do them must stop. And people must be carried along. We need to have consultation. How do you disburse such huge amount of money without consulting the actual beneficiaries? Those who are in position, the Mugabes that Chevron has put in position, should please know that at best they occupy the position of trust, who are fiduciarily responsible to the members of the communities. They do not hold those positions by themselves. It is bad enough that Chevron has not deemed it fit to pick among the people the best of them to rule over the others, but it has decided to pick the worst of them to rule over the others. The process through which Chevron recruits its staff are so open to the world that we know that even though it may not be perfect, but it ensures that the best of brains are brought in. But in the case of the community, you just handpick people. You pretend to not to know that within the communities there are brains. You have tagged the communities as dullards, and that is why you will allow a situation where the only two interventionist model that you have, you will allow someone to be the vice chairman of one in the same year and the same period as he is the chairman of another. Who takes that? How does that sound to you? You need to go back to the drawing board. It is evil. It's a deliberate attempt to undermine the interest of the people. And that's why I say that Chevron indeed is underdeveloping these communities. Development, like I have said, is not just infrastructure. The human capacity, the human capital development component of it entails running a process through which real leadership grows. How can you sit down and fold your hands? Once upon a time, when GMOU started, you wrote a letter, Chevron, to a young man that you feel that there will be conflict of interest because the young man was just then while he was chairman of the IRDC, appointed a commissioner for oil and gas, and that's Honorable Mufe Pira. But today, I can tell you, the current chairman of IRDC has a government appointment. The current chairman of CICD has a government appointment. All the executives are all government appointees. And yet, here is a tripartite agreement. One in which the community is involved, you, Chevron, are involved, and the government is involved. Therefore, when there's now a meeting to negotiate and take decision about how to dispense funds, you find people who are an embodiment of conflict of interest. One of their legs is with the government, the other leg is with the community. In fact, the most horrible kind of arrangement is what is present with the GMOU and OMOU models. To make matters worse, Chevron has become a company that does not listen to amicable resolution in any manner. I challenge Chevron to make public the number of cases that they have in court. I challenge Chevron to make public the number of times they have encouraged amicable resolution. In a world where Chevron knows very well that litigation is no longer currency, that alternative dispute resolution is now the trend, Chevron will sit down, deliberately disobey a court order, and rely on the slowness of the judicial process to tire out those that are agitating. We can no longer go on in this way. Change has come, and it must indeed come. I call on the youths of Chevron oil producing communities to rise up and demand, one, for the respective agreements that are called OMOU and those that are called GMOU. They should demand for the process of renewal, demand to participate in every bit of it, because it is a product of the legacy that their fathers and their fathers' fathers have left behind for them. They are not passengers, they are indeed participants. And they must let Chevron know that what Chevron has done in the past decades and more amounts to robbing them to pay the Mugabes. The Mugabes have had their time. Now is the time for the youth to speak out. Speak out and let there be the kind of change that is desired. We can no longer continue in this way. We must stop Chevron. We are going to take this crusade from the social media to the mainstream media. We'll go from radio to radio, from TV to TV, from local TV, state TV, national TV to international TV. We'll let the whole world know that indeed what Chevron prides itself to be outside is indeed not what it is. That Chevron is indeed an underdeveloper of our communities and not a developer of our communities. And that Chevron has thrown caution to the wind, and it does nothing whatsoever about global practice in terms of exploring oil with a human face. The excuse that they are here to do business no longer flies in the face of modern day reality, because ethics is an integral part, it's an integral component of business. Enough is enough. Thank you. I remain Chief Robinson Ariyo, a Warri-based legal practitioner and a chief of the Great Warri Kingdom. Thank you for listening. God bless you.